Hey everyone, Blake here. Just wanted to make a little message before we get into this tier list episode. First things first, apologies for the quality of my audio so far. We have since got better equipment for me, but please support the channel so we can keep getting better hardware and software for the channel to be better. Second thing, a lot of people commented in the last tier list video about some of our placements and opinions on some of the Primarchs, mainly Sanguinius. First thing I would like to say is thank you to those that left genuine and honest comments against our opinions backed by thoughtful ideas, instead of just trolling and leaving pointless comments. I genuinely appreciated your arguments because we are still growing this channel and we wish to foster a genuine community of people behind it that care about this grimdark world. In this community, however, we all have our own opinions about these characters and stories that we hold dear. Especially on YouTube, we have to walk that fine line of not listening to comments being intentionally hurtful for no reason, but then self-reflecting on genuine feedback from yourselves. Not everyone will agree with everyone on everything or value something the same passion that you do. I didn't agree with a lot of the arguments and comments that were being made in that episode, but that is a good thing, because what we are trying to do here is have a space where me and my mates can disagree and attempt to have genuine debate and conversation with each other, with you guys along for the ride. That being said, we also recognize that even though James is the newbie and doesn't know anything about Warhammer, yet Corbin and I are 50 books and a few years deep into the lore, we still have a lot to learn, not just about the lore, but ourselves as well, and that this is a journey for us, and we only hope that you stick with us to see how far we go. Thank you for listening. Now back to the episode and enjoy.
And welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining us for our Heretics Primarchs tier list. Traitors, Heretics Abound. This is going to be fun and very interesting. I'm your co-host, Blake.
I am James.
And I'm Corbin.
What? What? I am the great Cornelio.
Hey, I'm Gonzalo.
That's it. Yeah. But yeah, so that was our previous Loyalist Primarch tier lists. About 90% we all agreed on it about where they should be.
Here comes the heresy.
Here comes the heresy. This might shake things up a little bit, but no. So should we get stuck into it?
We should.
First off, thank you very much for everybody for joining in. Please like and subscribe. Push up the algorithm so the algorithm gods can be nice to us. Thank you very much for all your support so far. We've just reached 4,000 on Instagram and almost at 400 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you very much for that.
Comment how bad we got our list.
Yeah, comment on how bad we got the list. That helps us too.
Everyone's got their opinions. Opinions are like assholes. Yeah. Everyone's got one. Everyone, it's especially in Warhammer. Oh, boy, we're an opinionated bunch.
Absolutely. But here's the thing: like, I genuinely love hearing other people's reasonings as to why they've reached that point. Which is why I don't besmirch you for thinking that Gilliman's above Dawn. Is because I love hearing your reasoning, and I love hearing other people's reasoning as to why. Like, Ferrus Manus is my favorite. Fucking why?
Yeah.
How did you arrive at that conclusion? And then going through that together. I like that.
Yeah, well, I think the comments were more like, "Oh, Iron Hands are cool in 40k without Ferrus Manus," and it's like, okay,
thank you for proving the point.
Yeah, that might be your justification, but I still think they're assholes.
Just for me, that didn't change much.
Yeah.
I don't have enough skin in the game. I don't know enough.
Well, that's the point. Iron Hands don't like skin.
Yeah. We should probably mention that too, because there might be some new people that I do not know nothing about Warhammer. Like,
that's a double negative. You do not know nothing.
I know nothing. I know nothing, Jon Snow. Whenever they ask for my opinion, it's probably aesthetic based, because I don't know nothing. I know nothing.
Yeah,
and they are teaching me the ways.
I came here to lead, not to read.
Yes.
And Blake and I are pretty hardcore Warhammer nerds. We're pretty deep in it.
We're so hardcore we started a podcast.
Yeah.
So if you have bad things to say,
Corbin and I also disagree as well on a lot of things as well about our opinions, especially about the Emperor and some of the Primarchs and some of the legions and some of the factions. But the thing is that we've come to a reasonable area where we can disagree with each other, but also respect each other's opinions, which is, I think, also healthy in the Warhammer community and just in general.
Yeah, and we can always disagree. And
I don't take it personally.
No, me either. But we can always agree that the Night Bears suck.
Yeah.
That's pissed off 6 people.
No, there's a lot of Eldar
There's
fans.
too many. Too many. That's the problem. Call Death Watch.
Basically, if you're a weeb, you either go to Tau or Eldar.
Yeah, it depends on what type of anime you're into.
Yeah, Gundam suit or Space Elf.
I have an unpopular opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't mind the tower.
Get the fuck out.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. All right, it's
you're tearing this apart.
Up for Heretics, it's actually about to be only 2 people podcast now. Like,
just like the other Primarchs, you're going to be exterminated and nothing's going to be ever known of you again.
Lehman Russ is coming for you.
I am a Japan weeb. I like Gundam, so it's kind of hard. I don't like them out of suit. I just think that the suit side of
you're telling me that you don't like hoof girls?
Well, no. Fish hoof.
No.
I mean, Rule 34, honestly, if you... Oh, man, the amount of, like, Warhammer...
We're not going down this rabbit hole. We're not going down this rabbit hole.
Anyway, Primarchs.
Save that for the Tau episode.
Primarchs.
Yeah. Okay. So, we've done 1, 2, 3. Fulgrim. Emperor's Children.
Wait. I've just realized something. Is that... Do they have Loyalist Horus and Chaos Corrupted Horus in this? Like...
No.
No?
We got Angron, Fulgrim, Horus, Kurz, Lorgar, Magnus, Mortarion, Perturabo.
Yeah. I always forget about Lorgar.
Aren't you glad you brought me along?
Yeah, I'm like, I always forget about Lorgar.
Yeah, so does everybody else.
Yeah.
Wow, shots fired.
Oh well, what are they going to do about it? Pray.
Yeah. Fucking chaplains.
We'll get to that in a second. So yeah, Fulgrim of the Emperor's Children. What do you think, James, based on what we've said and what you know about it?
I like the Emperor's Children. I always get them confused with the Thousand Sons. So
why is that?
Which ones are the ones that have the...
These are the guys with the sonic guitars, the...
Okay, God tier.
But we're not... No, we're not talking about the Legion.
We're not talking about the Legion, we're talking about Fulgrim.
I know.
Fulgrim is like...
the snake, I know.
Okay, so basically what happened was that Fulgrim and his Legion were all focused on trying to be the best of the best and become perfect. Fulgrim spent a lot of his time with like Horus, so he and Horus were very close, which made it easier for him to be corrupted by Horus and going against the Emperor. And then he found these beings called the Lair, they're like snake beings, and then he found a demon-possessed Slanesh sword. Didn't realize it was Slanesh powered because he didn't know anything about chaos because Big E's a great dad. And and then he was slowly being corrupted by the sword, by the demonette. I think it was a Keeper of Secrets in the sword, which is like the strongest Slanesh demon.
Keeper of Secrets is Tzeentch, isn't it? What?
No, Tzeentch is... Okay, hang on, I gotta double check.
Isn't that from Harry Potter?
Not the Chamber of Secrets. No, but basically, in Fulgrim's book, they say the word perfect or perfection like 600 times. I honestly never wanted to hear that word again after reading that book. Like, holy shit.
I personally put it in one of my top 5 books. I love it.
Like, it's not a bad story, but the humans are the interesting part of that story, honestly. Fulgrim...
I would say that they're interesting because of the contrasting nature of them.
I think Fulgrim is mid.
I personally think pretty good.
I personally think legendary.
So pretty good? Below line?
Below line.
Below line. Here's the thing. Fulgrim is my second favorite Chaos Primarch below Kurz, and I think he's in pretty good behind the line.
I agree. I mean, I want to put him below Alfarius and Omegon, but I will accept pretty good.
Hang on.
You know, the best thing about Fulgrim is that he gets blown up by one of his own dreadnoughts.
Yeah, by Rylanor.
Rylanor.
You heretics.
I'm trying to find this fucking demon.
I love the Chaos guy, but I think Fulgrim is just
I personally just think because he's the opposite side of that spectrum of Dawn, because Dawn's my favorite. So he's the opposite side of that where Dawn is very reserved, disciplined, focus on being the best that you can in terms of discipline and your strength. focus on others as well. No, it is a keeper of secrets. That's the Slaanesh demon.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what the other one
What
is.
are the Zinch ones then? They're the changer of ways.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
They all have very similar names. But then on the other side of that spectrum, it's very nihilistic. And what's the other term where you give into your pleasures and give into your desires, regardless of anything else?
Horny goated.
Yeah, horny.
Horny goated. Yeah, but no, it's like it's the opposite. It's the other side of that yin yang. And I respect it from a storytelling point of view. And I've read a couple of other books about the Emperor's children and how they all see Fulgrim. And then reading the Fulgrim book, I just personally think he's one of the most interesting Primarchs.
Like, just such a piece of shit.
I think that's why I like him so much, is because I can't defend him. He's so
You
funny.
haven't said anything that has turned me off from like
Turned off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very Emperor's Children.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things like can't defend him, but he's funny as fuck.
So where did you put him? Where'd you put him?
At the end of pretty good behind line.
No.
All right, we're putting him ahead of the Blangles and Dangles then.
No way.
Yep.
No way.
Yep.
Fine.
Control,
You twisted my arm.
All right.
And I liked it in typical Emperor's Children fashion.
Yeah, and then
all right, so now we've got
it with 3 arms and like claws for hands. They give the messiest hand jobs ever.
Isn't that the best?
Not a bloody hand job is not the best hand job. Must disagree with you there.
Still lubricant.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit, you two. Fuck you guys.
Have we out-creeped our Corbin?
Yep.
Oh, alright. Anyway, moving right along from fucking Fulgrim.
Who's fuck Fulgrim?
Everybody.
Apparently. Yeah, number 4, Perturabo.
That gay.
I'm cutting that out.
Wait.
Perturabo, number 4.
No way. Your Jimmy Carr joke gets a scene, but Snussy.
We need the plug-in. We need him to potentially see this.
Snussy.
Snoo.
Yeah, but a snoo. Anyway,
apparently he might have been a Warhammer fan.
Fuck. Let's keep going.
That's what she said.
Until Fulgrim entered. Number 4, Perturabo.
Perturabo.
Of the Iron Warriors.
Oh, cringe.
Yep. Now, here's the thing. What apart from us shitting on him, what do you actually know about him?
Cringe. Next. I don't know anything about him. I unfortunately painted most of my Chaos armies after his army, which was a mistake. Didn't mean to.
Even though you don't know that much about him, I think
I was trying to turn them into like Terminators, and then you're like, "Oh yeah, this is like Iron Hands." I'm like, "No, it's not. It's
Iron
Terminator. Iron Warriors." Like, no, it's Terminator. And then, yeah.
All right, I have to say, I'm like top of cringe, bottom of mid.
I'll go bottom mid, just because like I do actually want to read some of his stories, and I think again he goes into that thing where he goes from base to cringe and then comes back again. He's the best way, James, to explain it is that he's a more petulant version of Dawn.
Yeah, but he is like competent, and
he's
also
competent.
Is like a key factor in the Siege of Terra.
If it wasn't for Dawn and it wasn't for Perturabo being on the opposite ends of the fight, the Horus Heresy would have ended quicker.
I mean, Abaddon did a pretty good job of filling Horus's shoes when he had to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is that like if it wasn't for the expert fortification and the expert siege guy on either side, then the war would have actually probably ended quicker, because they basically beat each other into a stalemate until other stuff happened.
Yeah,
is what I think.
I'm happy to have him at the bottom of mid, though.
I'm happy with bottom of mid because I do believe he's actually more interesting than Ferrus Manus.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
especially now that he's demon corrupted, like he's chaos corrupted. He's a demon prince.
Yeah,
demon
which also doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah, but
yeah,
what does a demon prince look like?
Apparently, like imagine a demon tank.
Oh,
Yeah, we don't know for sure, but that's essentially what it is.
There's not really any official art on him. But-
okay.
But
I was
like,
going
here's
to
the
say,
thing.
I don't remember seeing anything.
Here's the
on
thing.
him.
I do think that he's actually a bit interesting, and I do want to know more about like his reasoning and his logic as to why he turned to chaos. But when I started reading the Siege of Terror books, and he's in it briefly, I was like, yeah, my opinion of you has not changed. You're a wanker.
Yeah, he is a
He's just
wanker,
a
but
douchebag.
he also collects Warhammer minis in lore.
Yeah, he does.
What?
He actually collects Warhammer, and like he uses the physical models to like try and map out his battle plans. And there's actually a very beautiful moment in, well, not a beautiful moment, but a very interesting moment in the Siege of Terror books where Abaddon walks into Petravo's main lab and main like strategy room, and he finds him disconnected from the monitors and the screens. And he's like, "Why are you not paying attention to the siege or the data?" And he's like, I faced Dawn so many times in our simulations, and he kept on beating me, and he kept getting the better of me, and I could never understand how until eventually I found out one technique that he does that he told me about. He says that Dawn takes a step back and goes back to a normal map in order to remove himself from the overflowing amount of data and look at the plans and use physical models in order for him to figure out, like, take a better, like, bird's eye view of it. And he's like, that's for whatever I will say of Dawn, I will always respect him as a competent leader. So he fucking hates Dawn, but he also respects him.
Yeah.
And it's just, and that perspective of him made me respect him a little bit more because he at least was able to recognize what Dawn did better.
Yeah. But he
Yeah.
also throws a tantrum and strangles his adopted
Yeah, killed his sister in a tantrum.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know that's a bit of a long-winded way of getting back to it.
Yeah.
Went from like, oh yeah, he's a good dude, like he's done.
Oh, I
great.
never said he was a good dude, but he was interesting.
Like he was an interesting dude, and he likes my guy, and then oh yeah, he has like a strangulation for fetish with his sister.
Well, it wasn't a fetish. He got angry at his sister because his sister didn't agree with him and he killed him.
I mean,
But he
Make
is
it
actually
smarter.
like he is the best way is also is that he's basically like he's a Reddit modder where he's like fedora wearing atheist where he like picks fights with people that believe in religion and he's like, yeah, but you do understand you're wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking great. So yeah, bottom of mid.
Yeah. All right. Next up.
So 5s, Khan 6, Russ 7s, Dawn, and our resident good Bat Boy, Conrad Kurz.
All right.
okay,
Go on.
here we
you
go.
two. Go on, you two.
I'm waiting for James.
He is God tier.
I don't even think Blake agrees with that.
I don't agree with you, but like in terms of interesting,
He's fucking Batman.
absolutely in terms of interesting, but
He's
in terms
nothing
of
like Batman. He's more like the Joker.
Well,
and
okay.
Batman, no Joker and Batman together.
How's he's the Batman who laughs.
He essentially is.
Yeah, which is like my favorite Batman series of all time.
Yeah, except more brooding. More brooding than even Batman.
No.
Yeah.
No, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Also,
No, he is.
also, like, yeah, no. See, I like the Night Lords. I think Kurz is interesting, but I would put him probably top of pretty good.
No way. He has to be at
I
least
wouldn't go that-
legendary.
I wouldn't go as low as pretty good. I don't think he's on tier with Fulgrim. I think he, in terms of achievements, in terms of what he's done, in terms of storytelling, in terms of aesthetic, in terms of everything, I would say below Dawn.
Bottom of legendary.
Bottom of legendary, in my opinion.
All right, just for the screens gallery, he goes there.
And yeah,
For the
which he doesn't
aesthetic,
really do that.
he's low god.
Aesthetic low god, definitely.
Yeah.
Just
but
that for on its own.
Personality. He's probably pretty
he's
good
a bitch
on me.
boy. Like he's a bitch boy.
he's
But
not really a bitch boy. He's more of like a he's a self-defeatist in terms of like he can see the future as well, like Sanguinius. Sanguinius and he can see the futures, but Kurz can see all the bad futures, like in all of people's deaths, whereas Sanguinius sees all the good futures.
Okay,
And
let me say this, and this may put him down, but it shouldn't. But he is essentially his mannerisms and that. He is the sparkly vampire from Twilight.
no, I would
Yeah.
never say that.
Yeah.
No,
like
he's not. I
broody-
would never say that.
No,
Pretty little
no.
H boy,
See,
but
where
the
we
aesthetic is sick.
where that differs is that he is like Blake said, defeatist. He's very like,
Yeah,
this
he's
is
emo.
this is my fate, and I can't escape it, so I'm gonna lean into it. But also I'm gonna hate it, and I'm gonna hate myself for it, and I'm gonna hate Dad for it, even though I'm not gonna
hate
do
fate for giving me this destiny.
But then I'm
He's
never gonna
emo.
do anything to change it. My life sucks. Yeah.
Slit my wrists. Yeah, he's emo.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's Sparkle Boy from Twilight. But
He's not Sparkle Boy from Twilight.
No, because
Hey,
he doesn't have a girlfriend or a cool Paramore soundtrack.
well,
No, he just has 3 days grace.
yeah, he's emo, but the aesthetic alone, yeah,
I believe out of all the Primarchs, he has one of the most interesting stories
yeah,
out of all of them. And I think it's also one of those things where because the writers knew that his story would be ending and where it would end, it made it that much better because they had to put so much more of his storyline into the short time that they had. And his book alone, The Night Haunter, one of the best books in Warhammer and Black Library, in my opinion, in terms of like it just don't take this pun intended fleshes out his character in such a great and explicit way, and I just can't give him enough praise in terms of how much of an interesting character he is. And by no means a good character, like a good person, but it's more of like a grey, interesting character that you could read and listen about.
He is written really well, and the
That's what I
Nightborn
mean.
books are written like amazingly. Like they are some of the like almost universally accepted as some of the best written 40k books.
Mm.
I think I'm good with him at bottom of Legendary.
I'm okay with that too. I'm okay with him being in Legendary in general, regardless of where that is.
Better not argue with me with Horace then. I'll let you put him in bottom of Legendary.
Fucking mid.
No, fuck off.
Fucking
Horace is-
mid. Fucking mid.
Alright.
Okay. So we got 8, 10,
Angron?
11, 12 is Angron, yeah.
Yeah. Alright.
Pretty good. Pretty good. My opinion. Above Fulgrim or below Fulgrim.
Oh, definitely above Fulgrim. I was gonna put him in Legendary. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think he's more interesting than Kurz.
No,
below Kurz.
I reckon top of pretty good.
Yeah, top of pretty good.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
he is interesting, and he has a sad story, but it's also an interesting story. Like, he is an interesting character.
Totally agree.
Is he a piece of shit who kills a lot of his men? Absolutely. But
then again, if we're going by that logic, every single one of them shit.
No, not all of them kill their own men.
More than half.
I mean,
he's the World Eaters, isn't he?
Yeah.
Of the traitors, I would say that Mortarion kills. Cares about his legion more than any of the other traitors.
Magnus, I would put up there, and that's about it.
I don't know. Magnus killed his one of his
corruption.
commanders. Yeah, before corruption, he killed one of his commanders to try to keep a secret about the Space Wolves coming to kill them all, and was ready to sacrifice his entire legion.
That's why he's not in front.
Yeah. All right, but I'm good with Angron there.
Like, here's the thing: interesting character, super tragic, and definitely interesting to read about how he. But that's the thing, is that it's the same thing with Kurz. It's interesting his degradation, and then anything after that's just not interesting. Like him being a relentless monster killing machine, being resummoned just to kill more and more, and just to say his butcher's nails. That's literally his character.
But also,
after giving into the demon.
yeah, Demon Primarch Angron's pretty fucking badass. Also,
Badass, but not interesting in that regard in terms of storyline.
But counterpoint,
Giant
chain axe.
Yeah.
Giant chain axes, motherfucker.
Yes. Go for the Skull Throne. I think he has one of the better aesthetics as far as Primarchs are concerned. Like he has one of the better, like mini models.
Yeah, I agree.
Out of the ones that are out, like even as far as like the what are they called, the Forge World?
The Demon Primarch?
No,
Forge World, yeah.
World. Like even like I really like, you know, the Night Lord. Like I like his Forge World mini, but like Angron. Like out of all of them, like he has probably one of the better minis.
One of the better Forge World, and I would actually argue this, and I know you're not going to like this, but I think he's got the best Demon Primarch model so far.
I
three of them.
Disagree.
I know you do. I know Mortarian's cool, but I think Angron is slightly cooler in my opinion.
Nah.
I think Mortarion might be a little bit better, but they're pretty close.
I totally understand that.
Yeah, I think they both have some really good like aesthetic.
I just think that they've got too many similar pros and cons, and I think they're pretty there. Magnus is okay, but just like he suffers from being the first Primarch model. Okay, so moving on from that, we're going into 14, which is your boy Mortarion.
Mortarion, God tier.
Yeah.
As if.
No, he is.
He's high up there, but he's not God.
He is.
He is.
What's your reasoning, James? You don't know anything about him.
He's the king of the. Well, he's not the king, but he's the Primarch of the Death Guard. Death Guard are one of the best heretic armies. They love Papa Nurgle.
I would disagree with that because they got nerfed, didn't they, Corbin?
They've had a point cost drop, which I haven't played them since, but like it has helped to balance them out.
I didn't say in like game wise. I just said they're the best army. Full stop.
Yeah.
One of the best armies.
Absolutely.
Well, we're not talking about the armies. We're talking about the Primarch character.
Yeah, but he's the head of one of the best armies.
He also made his two weapons, which are two of the coolest weapons in all of like Warhammer. Lantern, which is his own made plasma pistol, which is just sick, and his Man Reaper, Silence.
Man Reaper. Let's go with that cringy ass name.
That's
Reaps the man.
It's called Silence, and it's a massive scythe. He is absolutely badass. He's now like giant moth boy, which has like little floating fairies that carry like incense burners around him that spread plague and disease. Pretty sick.
Yeah, sick. Yeah.
He's really fucking cool. Like you even said, like after you read like his Primarch book, that like he is pretty cool.
I've never read his Primarch book. No, I read Buried Dagger, but not his Primarch book.
Yeah, Buried Dagger, which arguably has more about his past than his actual Primarch book.
Well, here's the thing. I like his aesthetic. I think he's one of the top 3 most tragic Primarch characters. I think he's interesting, but at the same time, I think he's got a little bit more cons on his side. For example, I don't like that it was his ignorance that led to the dissolution of his legion. It was his ignorance because he basically overlooked a lot of things because of his friendship to Typhus. And I think that led to a lot of problems, and because of that ignorance, his legion suffered because of him.
Let's just say Typhus is one of the coolest like generals. Like
he's not, but anyways.
Yeah. No, see, I see it in a different way. I find it interesting because of like his love for his brother Typhus. He was blind to the like failings and misgivings of Typhus because he is so loyal to like his friends and like those that he's close to. And I kind of can relate to that. Like he was betrayed by somebody that he cared about so much.
Yeah.
And like, I find that to be like an interesting arc, not necessarily a con in his like character.
Mhm.
I find that is it's just who he is. He's
Yeah.
like loyal to a fault,
Your fault, yeah.
I
but not
consider it.
loyal to the emperor,
Mm.
but like loyal to those that have done that, like have helped him and have been there
Mhm.
for him, and that like he actually cares about.
He is all about the family.
Yeah.
My problem with that is that I see it as both. I can see it as an interesting part of his story, and that builds up his character, or like informs it. But I also see, just because it's interesting doesn't also detract from the fact that it was a mistake on his part, and because of that mistake, his entire legion was doomed by that mistake.
I mean, strengthened
So,
by Papa
so
Nurgle,
same
actually.
thing with Magnus. Like I'll say the exact same thing.
No, but his legion wasn't doomed. They were strengthened by Grandpapa Nurgle, actually.
Mm.
But it's also a curse as well because of the amount of shit they have to go through, and they lost that ability to choose.
But they don't feel any pain, and they're stronger now.
They lost that ability to choose. That choice was made for them. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, but it was the right choice.
No, depending on whether or not you see it as a wrong or right choice, that choice was still made for them because of his ignorance, and you can't get around that.
Because of a betrayal.
Just because you see it as a benefit doesn't mean that they themselves also see it as a benefit. They might, but there were also some characters in the Siege of Terror books that don't see that transparency. All they saw was Mortarion making a mistake and entrusting Typhus. And some of them, Death Guard, fucking hate Typhus. Even when he took over from Mortarion, when Mortarion was killed by Khan, they were just like, why the fuck do we have to follow this guy? He's the reason why we're here.
In 40k, Mortarion kind of hates Typhus.
Oh no, that's fair, and I totally get that. But I'm just saying, that's my perspective of it, is that because of his blinded love for him,
Yeah,
in Typhus, and then overlooking a lot of things, because of that overlook, it doomed his legion.
yeah.
And I do see, and whether or not you see the Papa Noble's gifts as a blessing or a curse, that choice was still taken from them.
Yeah, and it was a mistake if you look at it that way
Mm.
on Mortarion's part, but that is just because of like who his character is. Like he really does love and care about all of his sons and his friends that he made, you know, on his home world.
Mhm.
Like
No, I know that, and I see where you're coming from as well, because it's who he is, and that he loves, and it's a love thing, and he does care about this small family that he's created with the people that on what was the name of his world again? Barbarous.
Barbarous.
Yeah, and I totally get that, but at the same, like from my perspective of how I saw it, it's just that you can love your family, but at the same time, still call them out,
At the end of the
even
day,
in the middle of a civil war.
family is family.
Family is family. I don't
Nothing's
need an army.
stronger than
I got
family.
family.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I see where you're coming from, but can you also see where I'm coming from?
I kind of can, but like
Yeah.
all of that aside, he is a sick fighter. He has awesome weapons. He also designed and created like tanks. He was
Mhm.
like a master craftsman and really resourceful because of his upbringing. He
Yeah.
endured a lot, like you said, like one of the more tragic backstories.
Mm.
Basically, was tortured his whole life by like
Treated like nothing, yeah. And
yeah,
totally interesting backstory, yeah.
yeah, kept as a slave. Really
Mm.
interesting story. A lot of people like they simplify and undersell like his story,
Mm.
but like no, I think I would actually put him at the top of God tier because he is my absolute favorite.
And I see that that's like the bias inherent in the system there, but I personally would put him either in mid legend, bottom legend,
Well, I
or
think
at the very least, pretty good.
he
No,
is definitely cooler than Vulcan and the Khan.
Nah. But also think about it like this: can you name me a fight in which he's actually won?
Well, he pretty much won against Khan the first time, and the Khan had to get saved.
No, he didn't. He ran, remember?
He almost bodied Gilliman until the Emperor stepped in.
That's what I mean. He's never actually won a fight.
No, but that's all
like
about the writing, though, because like Chaos was never really allowed to win.
mm,
That's not
Sure.
really like a fair judgment.
I would say winning fights is like a fair like thing to point out.
No,
Because even Fulgrim beat Ferris Menace.
Yeah, but that was like different. They knew that like Ferris Menace had to die, and Ferris Menace was like weak as shit. A snake almost kills him in a fucking cave. Like, Jesus.
But like, think about it like this: how many fights Mortarion's been in against other Primarchs and other characters Primarch level? How many has he won?
All right, so out of anyone in Legendary, what, one has beaten another Primarch in a fight?
No, Khan beat Mortarion. Vulcan beat Kurz. Gilliman beat who did he beat again? He beat a couple of people. He beat Lorgar, didn't he?
And he
beat Lorgar, and he beat Angron.
And he beat Fulgrim.
Dawn killed Alfarius and then took on, made Fulgrim run away. And then Kurz has taken on every Primarch.
Yeah, but in like his own way, not really. Yeah, but
he has won fights though against Primarchs. Yeah, I think he won against Fulgrim, and he did win against Dawn, and did win against Sanguinius as well by planning. And he also took on Lion and Gilliman, and Vulcan.
Yeah, I mean he lost against Vulcan, but
no, I'm not talking about that time. I'm talking about another time.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Winning a fight isn't like that's so much to do with like the people who write the books.
It is, and but at the same time, it's also something to take into consideration.
Yeah,
because that could be the bias of the authors as well.
But think about it: all of those fights, not one.
Mortarion is cooler than Corax.
As if.
Yeah, no,
he's not cool. He's not cool than Corax.
He is cooler than Corax.
He's not. This is the biased part talking. I allowed Kurz and Dawn to go down there because I understand where they are as characters. Mortarion is a cool character, but he's not god tier.
I'm keeping my mouth shut because I have Horus coming up. So.
so you're trying to play it nicely.
Yeah,
I got to tell you this now, man. Horus isn't going.
Yeah, Horus ain't going anywhere, regardless of what you say.
He's god tier.
He isn't though. Even Abaddon wouldn't put him in god tier.
Yeah, I personally think legendary, but I don't think above Vulcan.
All right, so middle of legendary. Then I can concede to middle of legendary. So above Dawn and Gilliman.
I know that hurts you, but at the same time,
that fucking hurts me.
oh well. We're doing the mids. We're doing the medium between all of us. What do you think, James?
I was gonna say top of legendary, but I'm also a little bit biased.
I think also acknowledging bias is a good thing too. So yeah, it's not a bad thing, mate.
No.
Yeah.
I'm personally happy with that. I just don't see him being higher than Corax or even Khan, to be honest.
This is what I'm going off. I'm going off aesthetics because that is my thing. I think he has way better. Like he has
I love the Grim Reaper aesthetic that he has. Don't get me wrong.
He has one of the best aesthetics. Like this is
one of the best minis.
Yeah. He does. Yeah, this is my argument with a lot of them. Is like a lot of the like Imperial, like the good guys. Like the reason why I don't like them is because they're all just like a different color scheme of like a space marine. Like there's no real like massive difference, and that's why I like space.
Yeah, that's why you're on. There is a huge difference between each of them, but it's just that when it comes down to painting them, there isn't that much of a difference.
Imperial Fist are yellow space marines. Salamanders are green space marines.
No, I agree with you to a degree, James.
I would say Mortarion is god tier because as far as the aesthetic, I like that aesthetic way better than some of the other people that are in the tier. So, like, you two can fight amongst like where it should actually belong because you know the Legion. But like, if you're asking my opinion, like I would say Mortarion,
which we do because we do care about your opinion.
Yeah, and my opinion is aesthetic. Like I'm more about the mini and the aesthetic and the artwork. than the story while I don't know it yet. So, as
Well,
someone that's unbiased, even though I own a lot of Death Guard, I would say Mortarion is higher than where you've put him, but I get that story has a lot to do with it as well.
Well, no, I would agree. I would put him in God tier. I conceded to put.
But then again, that's also coming from the opposite side because he's coming from an uninformed point of view. You're coming from a biased point of view.
No, I'm coming from a well-informed. Yeah, and
biased point of view.
There might be some bias, but I mean, I'm looking at it.
Might be some bias.
But if you want to put it legendary, like I would say high legendary then. If
I would say below Korax in my opinion, but like again, you do you, fam.
I mean, I'm trying to be reasonable about Mortarion, and I actually still, even acknowledging his faults, even acknowledging all the criticisms people like put on him, in comparison to the other Primarchs, I still think that he's God tier.
Okay, let's go off like from this, like because like I said, I don't know a lot, but I haven't seen a lot about Korax. Is as far as like story is concerned, like is there a lot more of a story to Mortarion? I mean, it seems
only
like
because
it's
he's still
me.
in 40k, in my opinion. They have the same level of storytelling in the Horus Heresy books, like the same amount, I would say. But then he obviously gets more because he's still around in 40k.
Okay.
He was the main bad guy for the Dark Imperium trilogy.
I was going to say that's where I've seen like bits of his story is in that Dark Imperium book. So, whereas I haven't seen like a Korax book, but like I said, I might be totally wrong.
Well, Korax doesn't have a 40k book; he only has his 30k book.
Is that because he's dead?
No, because he's the one. He's the demon bird.
Oh, that's right. You did say that. Yeah.
He's the one. He's the one hunting Lorgar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, he may have better story coming, but I mean, you can only go off what is available now.
All right. Well, if I said top of God tier and you said middle of legendary, should we go in the middle? Because James also said God tier, and just put him at the top of legendary.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. We can accept that. We can move on from there.
I knew Mortarion was gonna be
contentious subject.
Yeah, I knew.
And it's like, here's the thing. I didn't bring up like all the other arguments that other people would bring up, like, stinky boy, haha, sad about, get daddy stealing my kill and all that shit, because I don't think those are actually good representations of Mortarion's character.
No, and
I have more respect for him on that.
Yeah, and I know you do, and I know you actually like you actually have like a good understanding of his actual story and his character, and like we've talked about it a lot off stream and everything, like off recording.
Yeah,
I know you don't think lowly of him. I just feel like he's a little bit higher in my books, definitely than Khan and Vulcan, and I love them both. Like they're like two of my favorite loyalists. I mean,
that's the thing is that I loved every single one of these characters for one reason or another.
Yeah,
even Ferrus Manus for something to dunk on.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
But moving on from Mortarion, though.
Okay, so we got 14 Mortarion, 15 to Magnus the Red, Crimson King himself. Did nothing wrong, boy.
He's mid.
No. Look, I'm going.
We went from not agreeing a lot to agreeing immediately.
Yeah, and
that's how these characters are so different.
James, you have to separate Magnus from his Legion.
I know.
And you actually
admittedly, the Thousand Sons would love to separate themselves from him.
Yeah.
Look, as far as the aesthetic, I'm going off. Like he also has a cool mini, cool artwork. Like I think that he's a lot better designed than some of the loyalist groups, that are just colored versions of, the Space Boys. But
maybe hot take here, but I think Magnus is the worst looking Primarch model out of the bunch.
I actually agree.
Yeah, admittedly, there's only 5 of them.
So, okay,
but yeah,
I will concede. All right, as long as you keep
You'll
this in
concede.
mind,
You have no power here. Thank you.
I will concede here as long as you remember this when it comes to Horus.
No, but
I'm feeling
James,
cringe just because you said that.
James,
No.
James, he has horns coming out of his breastplate.
We had a whole half-hour conversation about this.
I know he's horny for tits. I know this, but I will
Horny for
concede.
chaos.
I will concede that you keep this in mind when it comes to Horus. And look, I'll leave it for his.
All right, but
I believe
are we
above
putting him
Alfaris.
above? Oh, okay, I was gonna say, are we
Easily
putting him
above Perturabo, and I would
Yeah.
put him above Alfaris, just because he's infinitely more interesting.
Can we put him below Gilliman?
In front of Dawn, as if.
Oh, no, wait, no.
Sorry.
Who's at the end of pretty good?
Oh,
Lion.
Lion.
Oh, Lion, sorry. I just said
Okay.
Blue.
I'm okay with him being in pretty good.
In the
Yeah.
middle of pretty good. I think he might even be a little bit cooler than Fulgrim.
No. No. He's not cooler than Fulgrim.
Yeah,
I
alright.
doubt he's even cooler than Sanguinius and Lion.
He's definitely cooler than Sanguinius.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, see, I'm struggling too,
Yeah,
though. I don't even like Sanguinius or Lion.
I think he's at the bottom of pretty good. I
I-
think the Lion is infinitely more interesting and even more redeemable than Magnus.
Okay, can we just go off the mini? Because that's going to be my argument.
Oh, we're going for the mini. You guys can cringe.
No,
Yeah,
look at-
he's
look at
dropping
between-
down.
Look at between the Lion and
Lion's cooler. Lion comes with different head options.
can
And
people
servants.
flame them in the comments?
Sanguinius doesn't get a mini because he's already dead, so we can't really use that as a justification. Fulgrim
That's
doesn't
true.
have a Demon Primarch mini yet.
And if we're going off the Horus Heresy one, then
the
Fulgrim
Horus.
still wins.
Mm,
I personally think he's fine where he is. I think even Thousand Sun fans would agree.
yeah, because Thousand Sun fans aren't.
His
Magnus
hubris in
fans.
his hubris in the books got the better of him. And watching what was his book, Crimson King, or was it? What's his book? The one before Prospero Burns.
Oh,
His book, the one that had the Council of Nicaea. I can't remember. I think it is a Crimson King.
yeah, the Crimson King. So the redeeming feature for me is that he tears apart basically a Titan. It's a like Gorkanaut with his psychic powers and just like disassembles the shit. Like he is strong as hell.
Powerful.
Yeah, really powerful. But he is kind of a lame character.
I wouldn't say he's lame. The most redeeming thing about it from him for me is that he wanted to know more, and that's not a bad thing. He wanted to understand things more and wanted to use these powers, but the problem is that was the arrogance and the pride that got the better of him.
It was definitely arrogance.
He believed that he knew more than other people.
And he
Yeah.
did nothing wrong.
Apparently.
Yeah, he was meant to do nothing, and he did it wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm okay with where he is.
Alright.
And are you okay where he is, Corbin?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
James, are you okay where he is?
Yeah, I guess so.
Admittedly, I would love to do this list after you know more about Primarchs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
feel
can
like that
revisit
would
this
be
in a year or so.
Yeah, that'd be a fair.
Yeah, because it's not that your opinion would weigh more, it's just that it would be interesting to see how your perception changes.
Because I can only go off the aesthetics, like, and
yeah, and I totally understand where that comes from for you.
And most of them don't even have minis, so that's hard.
that's why I like have to go off the artwork as well. Like I know, like I've seen a lot of artwork of them, so the ones that don't have the minis, I sort of go, well, you know, from the artwork, it looks really cool.
Actually, yeah, and if we're also talking about aesthetics, I think he's the worst looking.
He's got some cool artwork.
I was gonna say.
No, but I'm looking at all the other pictures, and I'm just like, he looks the worst. Like, I would have preferred him to go lean in more to the Egyptian aesthetic that his sons have done, but like, I just think he looks too weird. Like, he's got horns out of his chest, he's wearing gold, he's got a big giant mane of hair for some reason, and his name's not the Lion. And then on top of that, like, I don't know, it's just the whole aesthetic of him just kind of wigs me out a bit.
I like it. I like his staff. The side.
The staff's cool, but that's because it leads into the Egyptian aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that I could see that he could be done definitely better. Like, yeah, if he was more, like, if he was like, I can see where they've tried to sort of go with it. Like, it seems like they've tried to go with, like, is it Ra, the Egyptian god, the bird?
No, Horus is the bird. Ironically.
Horus is the bird.
Yeah, Ra is the dog.
Ra's the sun god.
Ra's the, yeah, that's it. Like, so I can see.
And it also takes 3 sacrifices to bring him in Yu-Gi-Oh.
We are not a Yu-Gi-Oh channel. You won't let me talk about Magic when not talking about Yu-Gi-Oh.
Because we don't allow that degeneracy on this fucking channel.
No, we do. Yeah. Magic even has a crossover with Warhammer 40k, so it
I don't care if they suck each other's dick, but they're not bringing Magic on this fucking channel.
We're gonna have a tier list of just the Magic the Gathering Warhammer 40k cards.
Me and Corbin are gonna make a Magic channel.
I'll rate the artwork and that's about it. I'll rate the artwork on the cards and that's it.
Okay. So I can see where they've sort of gone with the, the Egyptian bird, sort of aesthetic, but I think
lost the eye like Horus did in mythology.
Yeah, I think that they could have done better. Like they could have.
He's the most disconnected from his Legion, I would say.
Yeah, but like I said, going from the artwork in the mini, I think.
No, I totally agree with what you're saying.
That's what you're saying. I mean, there's a bloody dude that's painted yellow. Like, how boring is that?
It's not boring. Thank you very much. It's just boring to paint so many of them. Like it is any other color of the spectrum.
It's the worst color to paint. You talk to anyone about yellow is up there.
No, white is harder.
I know
white's the color.
White is not a color.
Fine, a shade.
The hardest color to paint is the yellow.
No, it isn't. It's actually quite easy when you know what you're doing. Oh!
All right, fucking moving on from Magnus.
Okay, well, moving on to number 16, big boy himself,
Lupercal.
Horus Lupercal, that's his full name.
Oh.
Cringe, yep.
No!
No, he's gonna go above.
Above.
Ferris Matters.
No, I'm gonna die on this hill.
Alright, no.
Okay, I'll go first.
Aside. Alright, you go first.
I'll go first, but just genuinely looking at his story, he is meant to be the inserted Lucifer of the character of, this storyline. He's meant to be the fallen angel of, God's best son, if you know what I mean. So it's hard to, he is his own character, but at the same time, he plays that role, if you know what I mean, in much the same way that Sanguinius plays the Jesus role and Emperor plays the God role. So looking at that and looking at his fall and looking at him as a character before and after corruption, memes aside, and what he accomplished and how he died, I would put him in pretty good.
Yeah, before his fall, before Erebus was whispering in his ear and he made all these terrible decisions.
Perfect Primarch. And that's the point, is that he's meant to be the perfect expectation.
I still wouldn't put him God tier because I still didn't find him that interesting, but he would be up and pretty good. After his fall, I would put him maybe ahead of Magnus.
Yeah, I agree.
He's definitely ahead of Magnus. Fuck Magnus. I know I just fought for him, but he's definitely ahead of Magnus. Okay, look, I may have some story a little bit hearsay because I don't remember everything, but is he not the guy that killed Sanguinius?
Yes.
Yes. And he's also the guy that injured the whole Horus heresy.
Yes.
Almost 10 killed points, the Emperor.
Another 10 points.
I didn't know what you're doing in the system.
Well, I am. So
Horus has them all.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole chapter of time named after him. Like the Horus heresy is all from what he did. And if he didn't do what he did, where he fought against the Emperor, fought against his brothers, there wouldn't be
Kings of the Galaxy.
There wouldn't be like traitor
Well-
legions. There wouldn't be.
Well, they would have been.
No. I
would they
not
no,
be boring?
no.
If Horus didn't turn against the Emperor, how would they not have taken over the galaxy? Because they were that close.
Because Necrons rule when they were waking up.
Yeah.
No, but imagine this. Like, imagine if they did take over the galaxy and they, Chaos wasn't able to get their hooks into most, if not all, the Primarchs. Humanity would have been able to, what's the word? Entrench themselves to the point where Necrons would not have been able to get a foothold against them. It's my opinion.
No,
Because I think that humanity would have gone too powerful beyond. I know you're on
Tyranids would have-
Necron supremacy, but
Tyranids
Necrons,
also would have been.
Gene Stealers, Tyranids, Orcs.
Yeah.
They were never going to take over the galaxy.
they were.
No.
They were. Because those threats didn't exist yet.
Yeah, the Gene Stealers did. Tyranids had already entered
Gene
the
Stealers
galaxy.
didn't exist in Horus Heresy time.
Yeah, they did. They just
When? What's your evidence for that?
Well, do you remember in the Tyranid episode we talked about it? It was even like during the Horus Heresy that they found ships that had been on planets with like Tyranid outliers even during the Horus Heresy, and Gene Stealer cults, like some of the oldest Gene Stealer cults, were actually already around during the Heresy. I mean, it was retconned, but they were
Oh,
there.
if it's retcon, then.
I mean,
Okay, so for example, even if those ships did exist and they weren't retconned, and Gene Stealers did exist in the 40k times, do you not believe that the consolidated power of 18 Primarchs, the Emperor, and a galaxy-spanning Imperium would not have been able to stomp them out?
No, because even Primarchs and legions that landed on Tomb Worlds and disturbed Necrons got wiped out. Nobody can really face up against the Necrons at full power. And on top of that, you have
you're downplaying
Orcs.
humanity a bit here.
No,
I think
and
humanity are good contenders.
they struggle against the Orcs, and the Orcs are disorganized as hell.
Necrons also struggle against the Orcs.
Not really.
Everybody struggles against Orcs. They do. You're sucking the dick of Necrons a bit here too much, I think.
No, Necrons absolutely.
They can't even get themselves organized, and they can't even stop themselves from infighting, so they're no better. I think a consolidated humanity, would be at least a strong contender.
Against maybe, they would have been at even against the Necrons or the Orcs. But the fact
You got to remember, they wiped out Ullanor.
Yeah, just. And that was one
They
world.
still did it.
And that was one world of Orcs.
No, that was the biggest spanning empire of Orcs since the Great War. And that was since like the biggest concentration of Orcs. And the only reason they came back was because the humanity was not focusing on them, because they were focusing on the Horus Heresy.
No.
Had they not focused
According
on
to the Imperium,
they would have destroyed.
According to the Imperium, it was the biggest.
It's also a matter of
that they found.
It's also a matter of sheer logic. If they were not focusing on the Civil War, they would have taken over the galaxy.
No.
That's a simple, straightforward fact.
It's not
Let's
a
agree
fact.
to disagree.
It's
Let's agree to disagree. Horus goes in God.
I love how you still played the long game there.
Let's agree to disagree.
All right, so
We'll just
on
put him in
Horus,
God.
on Horus, he is integral to the story structure. He did
He's
a lot of important things. His character, kind of lacking.
One of the main characters.
Yeah,
okay,
but his personality and his individual character, besides his role in it all,
yeah, you
is
can have
kind
shit
of
main
lacking.
characters.
But
Okay.
he is integral. Oh no, he absolutely plays a huge part, and also
Yeah, we're not denying that. Yeah.
he brought brothers together that wouldn't have worked together. He did do a lot of interesting things.
But look at how many dead Primarchs there are that have nothing now. Like Sanguinius. What does he do now?
I mean,
well, he's dead with Horus.
Horus is dead too.
Yeah, okay, but Horus is dead. But his even though he's dead, he's still having such a impact on everything that's going on, even still currently.
Okay, so
he didn't die, and then they were just like, all right, let's all start being bum buddies again. They went back to being friends.
Did you say bum buddies?
Yes. From what he did, the ripple effect changed the whole of the
If
future.
we're going by simple effects and achievements, then yes, he would, but that's not the only consideration.
All right, so He also has a pretty
His
cool
aesthetic,
aesthetic.
it's the best.
Not
No,
the
it's
best, but
not
he
the
has a
best.
cool aesthetic. You know what, James? I will give you top of pretty good. And that is as
No.
far as I'm willing to go with.
Yeah, that's as
Horus.
far as I'd be willing to go too.
Legendary.
Doesn't he have a mini in Horus Heresy too?
Yeah, and which is kind of cool. And his artwork is fucking sick.
His artwork is sick. I mean, it's some of the most
Well-
popular artwork. Like that scene of him like standing over Sanguinius, like bleeding out, is like some of the
And
like
the
most
Emperor.
popular. And the Emperor,
Yeah.
that dude on it. We didn't even get to talking about he killed the Emperor, pretty much. Chair,
I will
because
give
of
you.
what he did to
I
Horus.
will give you the fact that out of all the Primarchs, he's the only one that could have achieved what he did.
Yeah.
The problem is that his Legion now think he's a joke. His name's an insult, and the demons in the warp use his name as an insult. So
Okay,
All right. So I would not be able to live in good conscience and put him above Kurz,
yeah, as if.
but I can put him above Angron.
Yeah.
no, he's bottom of
personally-
legendary. Bottom of legendary.
No, he's
That's-
not. No,
Hey,
he's not.
I've gone from God. I've gone from God tier, and you guys.
Yeah, and we were going to put him in mid or pretty good.
Yeah,
We were
so
going to put him in
legendary is-
cringe.
Yeah, actually, yeah, we were going to put him in cringe. Yeah, another thing about it.
So legendary is the middle of pretty good and God tier. I'm going God tier. You went pretty good. So bottom of legendary.
I don't know if I can put him higher than pretty good. I'm sorry.
No, he's,
Abaddon is
Mm.
high. Abaddon is higher. in my
Abaddon's
list.
legendary.
Abaddon is a
Abaddon-
god.
Abaddon,
Abaddon's top of god.
yeah, but he's not a Primarch. And Horus,
No.
he's integral. He has good aesthetic.
How many books has Yellow Boy got?
At least 7+. Why are you dishing on Rogel Dawn? Rogel Dawn's more interesting than Horus.
He's in at least like
I love how we broke James.
You broke James. This is you.
I've done anything. You're the
I
one
want-
using the mouse.
I want everyone to flame him in the comments.
All right, nobody's flaming over Horus. Sorry.
Yeah. Not even Black Legion fans would do that.
James, you're gonna have to live with him being at the top of pretty good. I think I can't put him in
I'm not
legendary.
doing it either.
I can't.
I see
won't
where you're
do it.
coming from. I know why you love Black Legion. I know you love Abaddon. I know you love Horus. But even the community would probably agree with us, or even flame us for putting him too high.
I love Black Legion. You know, they were my first Chaos Army. I love Abaddon. I understand where you're coming from with Horus, but he is.
Well, I tried.
Yeah, I see. I also see where you're coming from, but like from our standpoint as well, when you get past the first 4 books, Horus becomes a little bit two-dimensional.
Yeah, like he played an integral role, but he actually, even in those first 4 books, you see his decline
Yeah, real quick.
really quick.
He becomes, even before the Chaos Corruption, he becomes real prideful real quick, and that was also because of Erebus. But like at the same time, he like actually was wedging a lot of doubts about the Emperor and about his choices going back to Terra, and then also about the bureaucrats coming in and join and like so.
All right,
Despite becoming War Master.
but speaking of Erebus, we move on to our last Primarch, Lorgar.
Mm.
This will be an interesting debate as well.
I want to know what James thinks first.
I don't know. I can't remember who Lulgar is, to be honest.
Lorgar was the first heretic. He was the one that actually sent Erebus to corrupt Horus.
He was the one who was forced to his knees as the Emperor screamed, "I'm not a god!" and blew away 50,000 of his Space Marines.
Yeah, and who does he? He's
He's
The Word
undivided.
Bearers.
Undivided.
The Word Bearers.
Oh yeah, but he's Chaos Undivided.
oh yeah.
He's also 4 of them, yeah. He's the Prayer
I-
Boys.
I know who you're talking about now. Okay.
Yeah, he is
Uh,
Churchy Boy for the Chaos God.
Yeah. I don't have any strong opinions on him.
Yeah, aesthetically, if we're just going back to you thinking aesthetically, his aesthetics are weak. I would actually put Lorgar in mid.
I agree with him being in mid, but I would agree with him being in front of Alpharius.
I can put him in front of Alpharius. I thought
Just
you
for
were
the
going to
pure.
fight me harder on that, but that's fine. We can
No,
do that.
here's the thing. I think he belongs in below pretty good, like at the lower tier. But I also see him being in top of mid, just because like I find him interesting. First Heretic is a great book, and you follow his decline and his feelings about the sacking of Monarchia and him confronting Gilliman and the Emperor. His inner feelings with Magnus about where their place is, and then talking about the fallen two brothers. I totally think that Lorgai is an interesting character, but at the same time, he's also easily manipulated by his father, Corferon, and then by the Chaos powers.
And
But the
Erebus.
problem is that and Erebus, but he thinks he's intelligent. He thinks he's righteous, and he thinks he's in the right.
All right, I agree. First Heretic was a good book, but not because of Lorgar. Lorgar spends most of that book sulking alone in his room.
Oh well, he does. I just think that this is another one of those things where his sons are more interesting than
he is. Yeah. I mean, we don't have any Chaos and God tier, and that hurts me a little bit. I don't think that's really accurate.
I know you tried getting Mortarion in there, and I know you tried getting Horus in there, but that was never going to happen. The only person you were kidding was yourself there, mate.
I tried to get 2 of them in there. Hey, if Abaddon
okay.
If Abaddon was
all of the Chaos Primarchs, or all the Traitor Primarchs, the one that I would put in God tier is Kurz personally, but that's also not because of bias. That's also because if we're going by interesting story, I think he belongs up there below Kurz.
I was about to say
Mortarion.
Kurz and Mortarion should be in God tier. Looking at the other people in Legendary, they excel above the others.
In terms of storyline or in terms of achievement?
In terms of story and interesting characters. And aesthetics.
Okay. So hear me out.
Yeah.
Horus is staying where he is.
We bump them up. But in doing so, we bring Horus to bottom of Legendary.
You mentioned Horus one more time, he's gone into cringe.
Alright, so
he has to be Legendary at least. Like bottom of Legendary.
I will agree in knocking up Kurz to God tier. But I think Mortarion should be up there too.
Yes.
Behind Kurz is the only reason I'll accept that.
Oh. Mortarion's cooler than Kurz.
As if.
He is though.
He's not.
I'll back you, Blake, as long as you bump up Horus.
No.
Alright. Because of his integral role,
and because
we can James put him behind, and because James keeps pushing it, we can put him behind Dawn.
There is no way he goes above Dawn as well.
Hey, that's what I said. Bottom of Legendary.
Behind Dawn.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but
that
I'll live with it.
A little bit.
I'll live with it. You can do it after I leave the call.
I can somewhat reconcile with this, but what would you personally change, James? I know you put Horus in God tier, but what else would you change?
I mean, how it is now, it's probably not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I don't know that I would. Well, you obviously know one that I would trade, but other than that, I think that everything else is pretty good. I agree with Conrad being in God. Like I do think that he has like some of the best. I've listened to some of the audiobook of the Night Lords, and it's probably one of the better ones that I've sort of listened to, and yeah.
All right, so hear me out on this.
I'm okay with Mortarion. I'm very happy with Mortarion being in God tier. There has to be, at least some decent heretics up there.
I respect Corbin for putting Mortarion behind Kurz because I genuinely, from an objective point of view, think Kurz is slightly more interesting than Mortarion. But Mortarion is interesting.
I would almost say that they're the same. I would say if we could make it that they're equal, in where they are. I don't think that Conrad is better than Mortarion, but I also don't think Mortarion is better than. I think that they're on an even playing field.
I would accept them being on an even playing field.
Yeah.
My one issue, right? So because I'm happy with all of this, but looking at this, do we all think that Space Wolves are the best? Like Lehman Russ is the best Primarch? I
No.
think that Lehman Russ and
That's
Corex
one thing
might
I
have to
think.
move to the end of God tier. And if we're accepting it like that, or
Yeah, you know what,
maybe
you know what, I
even
actually do kind of accept that.
Oh, maybe even Corex ahead of Lehman Russ. Like I love Lehman Russ, but Corex is really cool too.
Yeah, that's true.
I kind of find God tier as being very even. Like,
Yeah,
it is up there, but they are very, they are the best of the best. Like,
yeah.
so I do think that there's only like slight things that I think are like better than the other, but then yeah, I think that they are very. God tier is very even.
Yeah. So are we?
What else would you change, Corbin?
Besides that, I don't know if there really is anything else I would change. I think I'm happy with it all as it is, like now.
Should we not put the
personally,
was it the
what I would
Iron
change?
Hands into cringe?
Iron Hands are in cringe.
Yeah, not Iron Hands. The
Iron Warriors.
Iron Warriors.
No, I don't think they belong. He doesn't belong. Perturabo doesn't belong there. I see. Like the problem is that if you do believe he is cringe, then you also have to accept that there is some things about him that are genuinely interesting, or the fact that he's so cringe that he becomes interesting.
He's definitely above Ferris Manus.
Definitely above Ferris Manus.
Yeah.
I don't think he belongs in cringe, and that's coming from an Imperial Fist fan.
Yeah,
I was just going to say so that there's at least one Chaos and one Imperial.
I don't think there has to be.
There doesn't have to be, no, but I do agree that some Chaos and some Loyalists do belong in the God tier. What I would personally change is that I would put Dawn between Mortarion and Kurz, personally, because I just, from an objective point of view, not biased, like from what I've listed off before. I would
no, it's a little bit biased.
It's not biased. That was my arguments before, is that I think he's one of the better Primarchs, not just story-wise, but also because of what he's achieved and what he's done and what his personal outlook is. And that's something from me that I personally relate to. And again, that's my personal bias, and I will admit that. But I also think he's genuinely just a good Primarch.
Can't be talking about the glorified bricklayer.
Coming from the glorified Lucifer dead boy, that's funny.
I think that because I like Dawn,
Mm-hmm.
I do. I actually think he's really cool. I like what he's done, and like I shit on him just to stir you, Blake.
I know you do.
But I
notice how I didn't shit on Mortarion to stir you. Notice that, yeah.
Well, I actually, yeah, I think that he is definitely on par with Gilliman. And I do see them as less interesting and cool and less aesthetically pleasing than than Khan and Vulcan.
I do see that. That's just personally where I would put him. I would put him between Mortarion and Kurz. I would then kind of put Mortarion behind Lehman Russ, not because I don't think Mortarion is crappier. I just personally think that Corax and Lehman are a bit more interesting. And then I would put Horus in cringe. and then I would put personally I would put Fulgrim and Lion in legendary, at bottom of legendary. Personally, that's just me.
Well, like you said, like God tier is pretty even. Like I feel like that.
Yeah,
and we also needed to iron out what constitutes somebody going into God tier.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything? Because I think we agree on cringe and mid, and if we say that they're all tied in God tier,
I think that's as perfect average as we can get between all of us.
I think so too. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah. I do want to do one day where we do all three of us do our own, and then we do like call each other out or like try and understand why we put these characters at this point. Maybe further down the track when James understands characters a little bit more.
Yeah, because I would be putting a lot in like mid, and then
just because simply you don't know.
Because I don't know. Like,
but then we kind of
going off of that aesthetic.
We kind of have done that as we've been talking about it anyway, because we've all given our opinions of where we would put them.
Well, it'd just be interesting to see what happens in a year or so.
Yeah, no, it would.
Because my opinion last year on these Primarch characters was completely different to what I have said now.
And I suppose if you've read more books by then, or more things have come out, then
my opinion of Sanguinius this week was completely different to what it was last week because of what I've read in Echoes of Eternity. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what our opinions change in a year's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's probably about as content as we're all going to get with this. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening to our ramblings and debating and yelling this far. And please keep hitting that like and subscribe button. We're struggling, but we're trying our best to get through the algorithm gods. That we're trying to make better content. Please leave us some feedback as well.
I wouldn't say we're struggling.
I was more
really impressed with how we've been doing. Actually, like I'm really happy that you all seem to be enjoying our content as much as we enjoy making it.
Yeah, I'm impressed too because I didn't think we would get this far so quickly. But I think as well, struggling to get our content out to people that do want to listen.
Yeah, that's Blake's opinion. No,
that's my opinion. But then again, I'm also a perfectionist, and I'll always think we can do better. But that's just me.
Yeah.
And what we'll do another.
I'd like to point out, we'll get to 50k subscribers, and I'll still have that opinion.
Hey, maybe at 50k we'll do the World Eaters.
Nah, million. But yes, thank you very much. Next episode, we're going to be comparing our lists of the Primarchs and the Ultramarines and all the other, Legion lists that we've done before.
Might just be a shorter episode, but yeah, I'm keen to see, because I cannot remember. I'm really keen to see where we put things and where we put
in relation to where the Primarchs are.
Yeah. I
remember, it was somewhat similar.
I feel like we may have got it pretty similar, but I do think that there is going to be some.
There is a disconnect between the Primarchs and their respective legions, and then who knows? Maybe somewhere down the point, we're going to be doing a list on the successor chapters and Black Templars, Carcharodons, Lamenters, all that mob.
No, that's enough tier lists about Space Marines. Next one we're doing Xenos.
Yeah.
Must we? Okay.
Hey,
next one's going cringe.
Hey, Iron Warriors jumped up from cringe to mid, in this episode. I know that they're in cringe in the last tier list.
Yeah, because I remember you saying Iron always goes in cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some differences, I think.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, drop in the comments about your opinions. Blake and James will read them.
Like
I probably won't. No, I'm kidding.
Even if people think we're wrong, I still enjoy reading them and engaging in the conversation.
Yeah, justify yourselves. Like everyone in Warhammer has opinions and has their favorites, and everyone will have their own biases. But yeah, let us know what you think.
And some of you are wrong.
If you disagree with us, you're wrong. But try to convince us anyway.
Yeah, Horace belongs in cringe. Change my mind.
Hey.
Well,
all right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.